It's Ash from Super Videos back for another Dead Talk Q&A. This one's gonna be dedicated towards the announcement that came with the Negan and Maggie spinoff called Isle of the Dead. I did a few videos on this already, but someone suggested that we should do a live, and I thought that was a great idea. Let's see how many people are gonna join, given that this was a surprise kind of stream. But let me know, as always, if there's any issues with the audio or video or anything like that before we dive into it. First, I'm going to go through my overall theory and how I think everything is going to come together, and then we'll take it from there and answer some questions. But let me know if the audio is good and if everything is good before we get into this. We still have 10 minutes technically before we start, because I said I would start at 8 p.m. Mountain and it's 7:50, so we have 10 minutes. So I might answer like a few questions in the first 10 minutes before I dive into the questions, or dive into the theory, I mean. Giuseppe De Rosa, yo, Ash, how are you? Giuseppe, glad you could join. Trident Animation, greetings and salutations, one and all. What? I have no idea what that is. And then you say, so I will pose the first question. On which island will the series be set in? It'll be Manhattan, I think, if that's what you mean. Because the sign that was in the poster said Lincoln Tunnel. And Lincoln Tunnel is, I think, one of the major tunnels in Manhattan. So I think that's the answer. Zim Kids, could Lance attempt to kill Pamela? And he gets Dwight comic death. That would be a pretty big remix. I don't like that, because in the comic the Dwight thing worked very well, because Dwight was one of us, one of our characters, like survivors. I mean, one of the survivors that we knew, right? Lance is a nobody at this point. We don't know him. Most of us don't even trust him. So I don't think it's a good remix to give it to him. If they do it, then we should stop comparing the comics, because it's a completely different thing. Like, if they give it to Lance, it's not giving him Dwight's death. They're just completely changing the story. Jose Hernandez, the episode name for 15 is Trust, and episode 16 is God. Yeah, I saw that. With Trust, it's most likely Commonwealth related. With God, that's a weird one, because the first thing that comes to my mind is Gabe, right? But I don't know what they could potentially be doing with Gabe in that episode, unless they're gonna do what we all think they're gonna do. Jack's World, glad you could make it to the stream. He says, how could they justify the kids being left behind if Daryl and Carol have their own spinoff and Maggie and Negan have their own? Seeing as the Maggie Negan spinoff already has a title, possible Carol Daryl is a reuse, or is a ruse. Yeah. First part of your question, I don't think they could justify leaving the kids behind. The only way that would work is if they say it's not safe for the kids to go, but then by doing that, they're taking out two of the legacy characters with Herschel Jr. and Judith, right? So that would be kind of a counterproductive thing. If you're trying to carry on the show, then it would make the most sense to bring on some of your legacy characters. So they could justify it by saying it's not safe for them, but then doing that, they're pushing themselves into a corner. Unless they do something where they do a time jump and they show us a bit of a grown Judith and Herschel Jr. and they end up going. So Herschel Jr. or a grown version of Herschel Jr. will go with Maggie and Negan, and the much older Judith will go with Daryl and Carol. You could justify, or not justify, but they could work it into the story that way. And then Jax Walt says, imagine they killed Carol off. At this point, and that goes to your second question, it's very confusing to me that the Negan Maggie spinoff happened the way it did, because they already had a title, a poster, and even like a small description. But with the Carol Daryl thing, how long has it been that we've known? But nothing, you know what I mean? So it's either that the marketing team just completely failed at their job, and that they didn't really know what to call it or whatever, or there is no show for them. And like you said, one of them, Carol or Daryl, is gonna die, but they just don't want us to figure it out, so they came up with this kind of show that isn't really gonna be a show. It's a fake show. So that's another possibility. If that's true though, then that completely messes up with our prediction and the one that I'm gonna go through here. But yeah, that's a very good comment. Jose Hernandez, could Herschel, Elijah, and Lydia come along with Negan and Maggie in the spinoff? Absolutely. I think even though they're saying it's a Negan and Maggie spinoff, doesn't mean no one else is going to go with them. I just think that those are going to be the key characters. They're going to be the faces of the show. Much like at the beginning, Rick, it was Rick's show. Like, Rick was the face of the show. But in the spinoffs, in one, Carol and Daryl do that, and in the other, Negan and Maggie do that. Next question. Zimkids, I think we could lose Aaron. Yeah, it's definitely a possibility. Right now, I have my money on Gabe, Aaron, or maybe Magna. I don't like it. I don't want her to get it. It's not a good remix, but those are the three that I have on my list. With Aaron being at the top at this point. Mainly because of the last scene from the previous episode with Lance. That's the only reason why I have him up there. Jack's World, the Carol and Daryl one has been in the fandom almost as long as Rick's movie news. LOL. Yeah, I think the news came together. Like, those two pieces of news came maybe within a couple weeks of one another. Don't get me started on the Rick movie. Like, how is it possible that we don't have a title? We don't have a poster. We don't have anything. Like, how's that a thing? Jack's World, Aaron is the legacy for Alexandria, in my opinion. So I hope they don't kill him. That's true. And I got that feeling more when we saw that scene with him giving the tour to Pamela. Like, like he's an OG of Alexandria, but I wasn't thinking, or we know that, but I wasn't thinking about it until he's like giving the tour, and I'm like, oh yeah, he's been there the longest time at this point. So yeah, I do agree with you on that. And I do like the actor, and I like the character, so I hope they don't kill him, but they're kind of going 50-50 at this point. They're making it seem like he could potentially end up getting killed at some point. Jose Hernandez, will Daryl and Carol show be in New Mexico? It's possible, and I think wherever it ends up being, I think they're going to travel west. I think Daryl and Carol are going to go west from where they are in Alexandria, and Negan and Maggie are going to go east. And then that's probably going to take them to northeast towards New York and Manhattan. Jack's World, I can't find a way that they'll have the kids that would make sense, similar to Michonne leaving. Or leave the kids. Let me reread that. I can't find a way that they'll leave the kids that would make sense, similar to Michonne leaving. But they could have someone, CRM take Herschel, Judith, and Negan goes out with Maggie trying to find them. That's a good approach as well. Like, that's a good perspective. Instead of having them just leave and leave the kids behind, you could have it so that maybe someone from CRM takes the kids. And I think that would make it more interesting with the Negan and Maggie situation. But with what we've seen from CRM, they don't like kidnap kids and anything like that. So it's another level, you know what I mean, of things that organization would do. There isn't a lot of setup for it. That's what I'm saying. So unless they build it up a little bit, maybe they could do it so that Judith wants to tell the others what Michonne told him or told her. Maybe Michonne calls back even and tells her more information, but then CRM, not wanting that information to get out, comes in and kidnaps Judith or something like that. But like I said, they have to build it up a little bit. Like at this point, the CRM are not really the type of organization to just show up and kidnap kids and stuff. Jose Hernandez, the actor who plays Aaron, says the final episode differs from the final issue of the comics. Well, it definitely would have. Like, we knew that because the time jump from the comics could never work. That's like the 20-year time jump could never work. A smaller time jump might, but a full 20-year time jump won't work, because then that would really mess up with the timeline of the movies and Fear and everything like that. That's assuming that they're gonna have everything come together in some way. 2 more questions and then I'll go through my thoughts and predictions and theories about this whole thing, and then we'll get back to the questions. Jack's World, I'm glad. I'm just gonna zoom in here. I can't see the comments very well. There we go. Now I can sit back a little bit. Maybe I should do this. Jose, I do not want the massive time jump of the kids being recast before seeing Rick again. Also, it would make the films insanely hard to match up. I agree. I agree with you on that. The time jump, even the time jump I said would require a recast, and I don't necessarily think that that's a good idea. I do agree with you on that. Like, we're already attached to like all of the kids at this point, like the actors playing the kids, with Judith, with Herschel Jr., with even RJ. So I do see where you're coming from, and I agree. Jose Hernandez, Robert Kirkman has teased the comics could come back as a miniseries in a few years. I would love that. In my opinion, the comics ended prematurely, even though it was a pretty interesting and cool ending. It ended prematurely, and it felt rushed. So I would love for it to come to get more stories in that comic universe. One more and then the theory. Jack's World, how would you like to see the main show end versus how you think it actually will end? Well, how I think it'll end is basically connected to my theory, where some of the group is going to stay behind at Commonwealth, and then a select few are going to leave in different directions looking for Rick because they find out that he's alive. That's how I think it'll end. How I want it to end is a situation where... How do I want it to end? That's a good question. I think how I want it to end is for Rick to come back into the main story, and for him to not get his comic arc, but for him to kind of not become the leader, but become the father figure, you could say, for the community, but as a much older man. You know what I mean? Like what they did with Carl in the comics in a way, but take the Carl thing out, leave it with Rick, and you could have Rick do that with RJ. You see what I'm saying? And even like Judith and RJ. That would be my preferred ending, because it's just a sweet moment to wrap everything up. They can definitely not do that, because even if they do bring Rick back, then it's not going to work quite well because of the movies. Like if they end it that way, then it messes up with the movie a little bit. But yeah, that's how I would want it to end. A lot of people may think that's a cheesy ending, but that's how I would like it to end. Well, let me get to my theory now. So here's what I think is going to happen. I think by the end of season 11, what we're going to see is a situation where a few things are going to come together and the survivors are going to notice or realize, I should say, that Rick is alive or possibly alive. And there's an organization that's responsible for his disappearance. The things that are going to come together for that are maybe Judith possibly speaking out and saying what she saw, or not what she saw, what she spoke to, or what Michonne told her, I should say. What Michonne told her. Maybe it'll work in a way where Michonne calls again, and that'll trigger Judith to talk again. That'll be part of it. The other part of it, I think, is the Commonwealth CRM link. I think that link will open the characters' eyes to this organization, and they'll realize that there's some organization out there. And I think the third piece of it is going to be Gabriel and Negan finally speaking out and like telling everyone what they saw at the helicopter that they saw all those years ago. And I think all of those three pieces are going to finally get the characters to realize, okay, so that organization, the helicopter, Rick's disappearance, it's all related. And they're going to find out that Rick is alive or potentially alive. And I think the group is going to split. Partly or partially the group is going to go to the east, which is going to get them to the northeast and to Manhattan. And that's going to be Negan and Maggie, maybe with Lydia and maybe Herschel Jr. and Elijah, something like that. So that group is going to go there. And I think that spinoff with the Negan and Maggie is also going to bring Michonne back. I don't think we're going to first see Michonne in the movies. I think we're going to see Michonne first in the spinoffs. Not spinoffs, but spinoff with Negan and Maggie. Because she's headed towards that direction. The last time we saw her in her final episode, that's where she was going, towards the northeast. So that's going to get them somewhere close to possibly one of the CRM's outposts or something like that, which is going to get them to find out where Rick is. Either the Civic Republic itself or the main base where Rick is. And the spinoff is going to end with them heading towards that direction. And they're going to obviously come back into the story in the movies. So the spinoff with Negan and Maggie will be a limited series. And then the other group that didn't go with Negan and Maggie and the others are going to go to the west. Or actually, before I get there, one other thing. The group that goes to the northeast with Maggie and Negan, they are also likely to run into the remaining group from World Beyond. Because that group, the World Beyond group, knows that the CR is in the northeast or close to the northeast. So they're headed towards that direction. So I think that their paths will also cross. Michonne, Maggie, Negan, and the others with them, and the World Beyond group. On the other hand, the group that didn't go with Maggie and Negan, they're going to head west to find some clues about Rick. Because let's remember, they don't know where he is. They don't know whether they should go east, west, north, or south. So a group is going to go northwest or northeast, and a group is going to go west. That's going to be the Daryl and Carol crew. I don't know who's going to go with them, but let's just say the two of them with some others. They head west, and they're probably going to go towards Texas. And that's going to get them closer and closer to the Fear group. And I think that that's going to be where Fear is going to end or merge into the spinoff with the Carol and Daryl spinoff. And I think at some point they're going to find another CR outpost or something like that. And at the end of that spinoff, they're going to find out the location, where to go, which is going to get them closer and closer to where the others are. in the Northeast. So just like the other spinoff, the Carol and Daryl spinoff will be a limited series. And then at the end of all of that, they're going to find out where Rick is. And then in the movies, most likely in the second movie, that's where everyone's going to come together. The Fear Group, Daryl and Carol, and the crew that went with them, Michonne, Negan and Maggie, and the group that went with them, and the World Beyond group. But that might be like way too big of a prediction. I don't know. But I want to know your thoughts and opinions about it. I hope I explained it pretty well because there is a lot of pieces to it. And it's probably not going to happen within one season of the spin-offs. It's going to be like 2-3 seasons. Something like that. Back to the questions. But definitely share your thoughts about that whole kind of attempt at that description of what I think is going to happen. Epic Zombie Killer. Or actually, I missed one. Giuseppe De Rosa. Who's winning in a fist fight? Beta or Brennan Carver? Oh, Brennan Carver. Carver from Reapers, right? I would have to go with Brendan because he's a soldier. He's an ex-military mercenary. So as big as Beta is, the experience is on Brendan's side. Epic Zombie Killer Q&A. Hey Ash, not excited for this spinoff. It makes no sense why Negan and Maggie are in New York City. I agree, but then if they do what I just kind of went through, that could kind of explain it. Then in that case, I think it makes a lot of sense. Who knows? Maybe Negan and Maggie don't go together initially. Maybe Maggie leaves, runs into Negan, and maybe Negan, what's it called? What's the word? Says or tells Maggie or asks Maggie, let me help you. Let me help you find Rick. I think it could also work that way. Like Negan and Maggie don't necessarily have to leave together. Maybe Maggie finds out Rick is alive and leaves and then runs into Negan in the way, tells Negan about Rick. Obviously Negan is going to be intrigued. He's going to want to find Rick too. So that could be what they do. Masked Ninja. Do you think CRM will kidnap Herschel? At this point, no. But if they build it up so that it makes sense, yeah, why not? That could work. Epic Zombie Killer. They better have a good explanation as to how Negan and Maggie got to New York City. Yeah, I hope so too. I hope so too. Play Defense. How do you think CRM will be introduced? Since anytime we think we're close to finding out about CRM, when Commonwealth does something sketchy, it's always some other reason. Oh, in season 11, you mean? Yeah, I do agree. Like we've thought every time something happens, we're like CRM, but it's not. How do I think they're going to be introduced? I think it's the link between Commonwealth and CRM. But I think it's going to come in part C, not part B of season 11. Probably near the second half of part C, like the last couple episodes. Not even the first few. Maybe within the last 4 episodes of the series. Play Defense. You think a Commonwealth convoy will be there along with Negan and Maggie in New York City, since they probably even suspect CRM in New York City from Commonwealth? Yeah, that would definitely work. That would be a good way to have some Commonwealth carry on. You know what I mean? Even though it's not the Commonwealth, we still have some characters, not characters necessarily, but the soldiers from Commonwealth going along with them. I think that would be kind of cool. Giuseppe, Reapers versus Reapers versus Whispers. I almost said Weepers. Reapers versus Whispers. Who's winning? Reapers, because they're ex-mercenaries. They actually, If you mean whispers doing their whisper things, then whispers. I changed my mind. Because the Reapers couldn't even stand a small version of the Whisperers attacking them, with Negan and Maggie doing it, right? So I think Whisperers. But then again, the experience could come in handy. So they could do what they did at the end of season 11, episode 9, with those things that they were firing at the survivors. If they do that with the Whisperers, then it's all over. Or it's going to end sooner than you would think. Play defense. That's at comics. I'm going to skip these ones that are targeted towards others. I'm going to only read the ones that are for me. Play defense. Q&A, do you think the list Connie and Kelly got was the Resistance, or people traded to CRM? The Resistance. I think that's the Resistance. Some of them could have been traded, but the full list is probably the Resistance. Leonidas de la Rosa. I hope I pronounced that right. The Walking Dead will not end like the comics does. Who will take Dwight and Rick's death? What do you think? It's definitely not going to end the same way with the time jump. It just doesn't make sense. Who's going to get Dwight and the Dwight and Rick thing? At this point, I think they're probably going to give and it's really tough, but I think Aaron, Gabe, and even though I don't like it, maybe Magna. I think those three are going to be involved. I don't know who's going to get what, but those three are likely involved. And maybe even Rosita a little bit. Play defense. Q&A, is the Rick movies going to be the end of the Walking Dead universe once they've taken over CRM? Yeah, I think so. There might be, it won't be the end of the universe. There's probably going to be other spin-offs in the future, like way in the future, but it'll be completely separate from this story. Like, it'll be in that universe, but it'll be brand new characters, brand new survivors, brand new community, and not one that connects to the CRM or Commonwealth or anything like that. But the main story as we know it right now will likely end with the movies. Masked Ninja. I always thought the remaining Whisperers were gonna join the Reapers and create an alliance. That would make the Reapers storyline more interesting. Yeah, it could have, but since it's the final season, we don't need it. You know what I mean? Like, if it was any other season, I would say, yeah, that's a great idea, but since it's the final season, I don't think we need it necessarily. Giuseppe De Rosa, do a top 5 hardest villains groups to defeat. Interesting you say that, because I do have a video planned. What did I call it? Best and worst villains of the show. But I'm probably going to do that and some other related ones, like similar ones, at the end of the series. Like top 10 best worst episodes, and also like best moments, or best and worst moments, something like that. But at the end, when everything is done, when the series is done. Not when the spin-offs are done, that's separate, but when the series, like The Walking Dead, is done, I'll be doing those. Leo de la Rosa, I shortened your name. I hope you don't mind. Who is Shira? Who's Shira? Really, is she from Serum or other organization? Shira. Is that fake, Stephanie? Is that her name? I thought it was Shelly. Anyway, do I think she's connected to CRM? No, I don't think so. I think she's part of a secret community working for Lance at Commonwealth. That's all she is, I think. Or they could have Lance also connected to the CRM, but at this point, there's nothing pointing towards that. Play defense. Q&A, since we know the civilians of Civic Republic don't know about the bad things CRM does, will they fight CRM from the inside? And will they survive and the CR will be replaced with the Commonwealth? I do think they're gonna rebel against the CRM. I don't think that CR is gonna be replaced with Commonwealth though. If anything, it'll be the other way around because CR is much bigger. But yeah, I do think that CRM's downfall is its own citizens. That's in any case, even in real life. Get your comments in. I'm just gonna go grab water. I'll be right back. All right, where were we? Leo De La Rosa, what do you think will happen on spin-off name Isle of the Dead from New York? I kind of went through that, but Maggie and Negan, maybe with others, are gonna go that direction, go into the New York direction to find Rick, or clues that Rick is alive or something. I think that's gonna be the main story. Other stuff may happen along the way. They might run into some people, not CRM related, but to some just random groups out there. There might be mini stories along with that, but the main story is going to be them possibly looking for Rick. Play defense. Why hasn't Morgan returned to The Walking Dead in The Walking Dead timeline, since Fear is behind in time? Did Morgan and them possibly go to CRM later on in the timeline of Fear or what? Yeah, that could be. Or they have a community that they're staying at, but then our survivors, Daryl, Carol, and the people that go with them, run into them. And that's what brings them into the CRM story, or something like that. Leo De La Rosa, who's the character on The Walking Dead episode 13? Who's the characters on The Walking Dead episode 13? I don't know what you mean by that. Who is the characters on episode 13? Like, who's gonna be in the episode? Episode 13 hasn't aired. Let me just double check. Yeah, episode 13 hasn't aired. Oh, but if you mean who's the bald character, the female bald character, we don't know. Is that what you mean? I think that's what you mean. Like, who is that character? We don't know. It's a brand new character. Leo de la Rosa, Stephanie. No, that's not Stephanie from that episode. Episode 13. That's a brand new character. Giuseppe De Rosa, what if Reapers were as big as the Saviors? They could do some damage then. If they were as big as their Saviors, then there would be a lot of problems. Play defense. Why do you think Lance keeps talking about building so much like a state? Basically, if he knows CRM exists and is far ahead of doing that and doesn't need these small communities unless he don't know CRM. You could look at it that way, or he's trying to have create competition for the CRM. Build a state so big that could threaten CRM. And maybe he could use that as leverage to get the CRM to have him take charge, or have him be one of the representatives or something like that. Masked Ninja, both the CR and Commonwealth have resistance groups. Well, we don't know that for CR. Actually, yeah, a little bit with what's her name? What's the Fear CRM character? The pilot, the CRM pilot that L found. So you could look at her as a resistance group, small one, or she's one person, but other than her, we haven't really seen that much resistance at CRM. Absolutely, with Commonwealth, we've seen that, but with CR, we haven't seen that as much. Play defense. So do you think Commonwealth and our group will just rebrand to CR instead of Commonwealth, taking over and putting up their flags, and the civilians of CR just become civilians of Commonwealth? I think it'll be the other way around, if anything, because CR is much bigger. Or they could stay where they are, what they are, but there will be an alliance, a strong alliance between them, with their leaders being good leaders this time around. Something like that. Like, I don't think too much is going to change as far as that goes, but it'll be that Commonwealth is going to be led by a much more competent leader, and same with CR. And what we are probably going to see is the CRM is going to be decapitated. Like, we won't have as strong of a military at the center of CR. They will have a military, but it'll be just to protect the civilians. It won't be quite as much as what it is right now. And the whole thing with the cure that the CRM is trying to find with their scientists, I think that'll just be probably continuing, but for the better of everyone. And I think that they're gonna do things the right way once the corruption and the corrupt people within the CR and the CRM are gone. In fear. Dwight kill Strand. He could, but Morgan or Alicia killing Strand, or even Madison for that matter, but any of those would be a better, rewarding story. Giuseppe Ash has to go take a dump. LOL. No, I had to go get some water. My throat was dry. Did it skip? There we go. Play defense. Do you think Portland has been destroyed by CRM in the Walking Dead timeline? At the end of World Beyond, CRM was going to destroy it, right? Like they were going there. Or do you think they're going to be kept alive to fight CRM in the movies? I think they're going to be kept alive. I think something is going to save them from getting destroyed, and they're going to help fight the CRM. Carson Foley, what do you think Rick is doing at the CRM at the moment? How much do you think he has changed? I think he's changed quite a bit. It's been quite a bit of a long time. He's been gone. He's seen things that is probably way darker and way more extreme than what he's seen already when we saw him. I think he's changed for the better and for the worse. I think that he's become more numb to everything in a way, but I think that he's more of a calculated character, calculated figure, because he might have had more power at CRM. Not as a leader, but as like a commander or a military leader or something like that. So I think that it'll be a mixture of him being more badass and kind of worse than who we saw him as in the original show, but in some ways he's going to be a better character because he has more experience and expertise in how to lead a community, or how not to lead, but how to operate in a big community or survive, however you want to say it. Z, will Dwight meet Negan's group, and will Althea ever return to Fear? Althea is probably not going to return. The next time we see her, it'll probably be in either the spin-offs or the movie. Dwight is probably not going to run into Negan and Maggie because Dwight and the others are in the West, in Texas, and Negan and Maggie are going to New York. That's in northeast of the United States. So there are two separate directions. Unless Dwight's group goes there. But later on, absolutely, I think at some point they are gonna see each other again, Negan and Maggie. Not Negan and Maggie, sorry. Negan and Dwight, but not quite yet. Z, I enjoyed Dwight and Althea's bond more than Dwight and Sherry. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. Giuseppe De Rosa, I still really want a Governor episode on Tales of the Walking Dead. Me too, man, me too. It's a shame that that's not the first episode, because that would make the most sense for him to get it. Z, a Dwight episode would be cool too, but agreed. On Tales, I don't think we need the Dwight episode in Tales. They're probably not going to give us any character in Tales who already is in one of the shows right now. They're probably going to do Tales of the Walking Dead episode for characters that are long gone or dead. And by long gone, I mean out of the story in some way. Carson Foley, since Andrew Lincoln was spotted in Atlanta for only a few days, do you think the group will see a video of Rick at the CRM? What do you think is going to happen with Rick in the last episode? I think that's possible. I've always thought this, and I still believe in it, that Rick is going to come back in season 11, but it'll be an after credit appearance. that's become a very popular thing in the universe of The Walking Dead, and I think they're going to do that with Rick as well. And like you say, they might see an audio recording of him and a video recording, or they might not see anything like a recording, but us, the audience, is going to see Rick at the CRM doing something. It just jumped. Where was I? Play defense. Do you think CR has one city or multiple cities? Do you think they might possibly even have colonies in Mexico and Canada? I think they have one main Civic Republic city, which is probably New York. Or maybe Philly. We don't know for sure, but they could have other small outposts and small research facilities and small communities that are part of the research facilities, just like the ones we saw in World Beyond. We could see them, or they could have those types of communities in Mexico and Europe even, and Canada, but I think CR has only one main city. Like the largest one of all is gonna be just one in the main place that we're all gonna see in the movie. Giuseppe De Rosa, I honestly don't understand the story at the moment. Is Lance bad or is Pamela bad? Me neither, man. I'm on the same boat. They're making Pamela be more of a reasonable character and someone that our survivors could trust, but not Lance. But that could change, or they could have both of them become bad, quote unquote bad guys of the story. But at this point, they're making Lance be more of a trying to take advantage of the situation than Pamela, and they're making Pamela more like she's tough. She gives people tough love, but she truly cares about her community, and she truly believes that this is the only way that it could work, and to keep the community running, to have this social class. But it's not like she's a bad person at heart. Z, also if Isabel, also girlfriend, returns in season 7 without Althea, who would she interact with? And what would happen? I don't think she's gonna, I think Althea and Isabel are together. They're gonna return together if they return. I don't think they're gonna return. I think next time we see them, it'll be in the spin-offs or the movie. See, I think Lance is plotting against Pamela. I think so too. I think that's a very good prediction. Leo De La Rosa, who's General Beale from CRM? The Civic Republic military's main leader or main commander, or the one in charge, is General Beale, but we haven't seen him. We don't know much about him. I think the only thing we know about him is that he was ex-military with close ties to the government before the fall. So he was probably in the Pentagon or something like that before the fall. Play defense. Oh, I missed one. Play defense. To be honest, I personally think CR and Commonwealth will just unite and either pick a new name or keep one of those names. That could happen. That could happen too. If they have Commonwealth military join the Civic Republic military, which suit are they going to keep? That's my question. Play defense, but if what you're saying is correct about them just being separate but uniting, then do you think Rick and our group will be at Commonwealth or CR? I think it'll be much like what Lance said, but in a bigger scope. Lance told Maggie, imagine going to a doctor's, and I'm paraphrasing, he didn't say it exactly like this, but imagine going to a doctor's appointment at Alexandria, going to Oceanside by the lake, going to Commonwealth to see a show, or something like that. I think it'll be similar. I think it'll be a situation where our characters are gonna split. Some are gonna stay in Commonwealth, some are gonna go to Civic Republic, depending on which they like more, like big city or smaller city or town. But they are gonna go back and forth quite often, potentially building fast or like finding engineers and kind of building trains and maybe transportation like planes and things like that to get to the locations quicker, to get it closer and closer to an actual normal life type of situation. You know what I mean? Masked Ninja, who do you think would be the perfect casting for Major General Beale? Major General Beale. I think I said this once. I really like Clive Owen and the type of characters that he plays. He could play that General Beale character quite well. General Beale is that's a male, right? I think that's a male. I was gonna say someone female, like a female actress, but I think General Beale is a male. So, who else? I'm just thinking. Yeah, I can't think of anyone else right now. And the only reason I'm thinking of Clive Owen is that I've seen some of his movies recently, and he can play that kind of corrupt leader type of character, who's trying to act like he's the good guy. You know what I mean? He plays that very well. Play defense. Is Major General Beale gonna be in the movies? Yeah, probably. Not probably. Most definitely. Where else would he be? Do you think either Jadis or him are the ones who deal with Commonwealth, or possibly even Rick, which would be pretty crazy? I think having Jadis and Rick being the one that deal with Commonwealth is the best way to go forward with the story, and to connect everything, and to bring everything closer together. Where is it? Where am I? Giuseppe De Rosa. Everyone totally forgot about Madison's return. Yes, they did. I even forgot. When I was doing the thumbnail for this video, the whole time I'm like, I'm missing someone. Who am I missing? First I'm like, yeah, Alicia, but I don't want to put Alicia on because she may not survive. And then no one else really is a big enough character to be in this conversation when we're talking about like the universe. But I'm like, I'm missing someone. I couldn't put my finger on it. And then I made the thumbnail. Everything was good, and I'm like, I forgot Madison. I was going to include Madison. So yeah. And then it was too late. I'm like, I already have this thumbnail. It looks good. There's no place for Madison here, so it is what it is. Giuseppe, do you think Tales could get a season 2? If it's well received, if it's popular enough and people watch, then yeah, I think they're going to keep it going. But if If it's another world beyond type of thing, then no. Isn't it only 6 episodes? Yeah, right now it's only 6 episodes. Play defense. We're gonna go for another 15 minutes and that'll be the end of the stream. How long have we been going? We've been going for an hour now, so yeah, 15 more minutes. Play defense. Do you think Daryl and Carol's spinoff title hasn't been released since the title is too obvious? That they're gonna be looking for Rick CRM. Yeah, it could be. That could be. Yeah, that could definitely be. Or, if it's not obvious that it's related to Rick and CRM, it might be obvious that they're gonna end up in Texas, and that they're gonna find the fear group. It could be that too. But I like yours better. That would be a bigger reason why they would not want to announce it. Masked Ninja, do you think Rick went to France during his disappearance? Could be. Could be. That would make it extremely difficult for any real reunion unless they have him come back or have the survivors somehow all go to France. Play defense. Will the French from the End of World Beyond be involved in the movies? I mean, the guy said that one of the French scientists went to Ohio and Commonwealth is in Ohio. I think so he could be there. Yeah, I think so. I think there's definitely a sort of connection. Not only to the movies, but to Commonwealth, like you said. Who knows? We might see that person, that scientist, French scientist, not French scientist, that French soldier or guy that shot the scientist. We could see him come to Commonwealth for some reason. Maybe that'll be an Easter egg or something that links the story to CRM. AL, Better Call Saul reactions. Yeah, I'm doing them. What about them? I posted my latest one for season 4 episode 1 today. Like, right before this stream. Not right before, but a couple hours before this stream. Carson Foley, I really hope to see Rick have better fighting skills in the movies, since they won't have many guns. Yeah, I hope so too. I hope we see badass bearded Rick, to be honest. Giuseppe, why does Lance want to help the survivors so bad? That's a good question. I think there's something in it for him. I think he's selfish. There's some gain for him. Giuseppe, do you think Mercer is a good of a fighter as Jesus or Carver? Mercer, I think, not Jesus, but definitely Carver. Because they're both military. They both have the experience. Masked Ninja, who would win in a one-on-one? Mercer or CRM soldier? Mercer, because he's a commander. CRM soldiers, most of them are regular soldiers that may not even have the right amount of training. Play defense. Will Commonwealth have helicopters by the movies? In the movies, I think. To face CRM, because if they don't, I don't see how they can win when CRM can just drop airstrikes. It's definitely one-sided at the moment, so let's see what happens and how the Commonwealth becomes more balanced with, or Commonwealth and allies become more balanced with the CRM. Play defense. It depends how skilled the CRM soldiers is, since Mercer was a Marine and the CRM soldiers could have possibly also been in the military. It really depends who the soldier is, to be honest. Yeah, that too. I agree with that. Giuseppe, is Rick Grimes the biggest Walking Dead character? Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a toss-up between Daryl and Rick. But definitely Rick has to be up there. Leo De La Rosa, what happened to Rick? Why hasn't he returned for the past 7 years? That's the $1 million question. That's the $1 million question that they're gonna tell us in the movies. Mask Ninja, or actually that's for someone else. Giuseppe, if done right, I wouldn't be mad. Not sure what that was related to, so I'm gonna go to the next one. Play defense. Why do you think the CR calls themselves the Civic Republic? Unlike Omaha and Portland, where they call themselves, or they claim, or they name themselves their city. Is it because they don't want people to know where they're located? That's part of it, and I think the other part of it is they think they're a greater community. They're the Civic Republic. You know what I mean? Like they're more civilized and they're the best community out there. I think that's the other reason. If they just named them their community after their city, then they're just like the other cities and the other communities, I mean. So they're not special enough that way in their own eyes. Leo De La Rosa, is there a war coming in Commonwealth and CRM in the future? It's definitely looking like that's where it's heading. Everything is pointing towards that. Carson Foley, do you think Rick will look a lot different? I hope he has the beard. I think he's gonna look older. He's probably gonna have a beard. And I think, you know, he'll be a good fighter, but he'll also have some vulnerabilities that he didn't have before. Like he won't be as badass as he was all the time. You know what I mean? Because he's gonna be older. My camera just died, so let me get that battery replaced, and I'll be right back. Alright. We'll go for another maybe 5 minutes, and that'll be the end of the stream. We've been going for a long time. It was a great live stream, surprise one. Can you hear me now? Let me know if you can hear me. The audio was... Can you hear me now? Testing, testing. I'll wait to get a confirmation. Yeah, we can hear. Okay, awesome. I don't know how much you heard then. Which question should I go to? I think this was the question that I probably said or answered that you didn't hear. Leo De La Rosa, does Isabel know about Rick Grimes? He or she probably does, but there's never been a reason for her to say it or to bring it up. But probably she could know about him. There's a chance. Mask Ninja, do you think the CR have a class system like the Commonwealth? I think they do, but it's not quite as in your face as it is with Commonwealth. But I think they have a variation of that, or that in a more larger scale, but not as in your face. You know what I mean? Like, it's much like normal civilization, a lot more than with Commonwealth. Leo De La Rosa, who's the real big bad of The Walking Dead World Beyond, Kublek or Jadis? I would say Jadis. Kublek didn't really do a lot that made her a villain, right? She did order that community to be destroyed and all of that, but I think that they made Jadis, they set it up so that she was a much bigger villain than Kublek. Epic Zombie Killer. Do you think the Walking Dead universe is a mess? If everything plays out the way I described at the beginning of the stream, then it's a mess 20%. Like, there's 20% of a mess. Only because everything is so rushed. But if it doesn't happen the way I said, then yeah, it's a mess. Like, I have no idea how everything is going to come together. Play defense. Where do you think the group Michonne saw was going? They had an army convoy, possibly even all their people going somewhere with armed guards. And they possibly going to CRM and their Portland or Omaha. I think that group is the Portland and Omaha group. I think that group is that group. Where are they going? Probably CR. Masked Ninja, Kublek was a tragic villain who is in the wrong place. Yeah, I agree. I would compare it to with Dwight and Negan and the Saviors. It's a similar type of situation. Only Kublek has more power than Dwight did in the Saviors camp. Masked Ninja, Kublek does not seem bad to me. Not as bad. She did some pretty horrific things, but not as bad. Leo De La Rosa, is Lance the new big bad of the finale? It appears so. Either Lance alone or Lance and Pamela together. Epic Zombie Killer. My opinion, AMC needs to slow down on the spin-offs. There are too many. Yeah, I could see that. I think they didn't need World Beyond. Everything they did in World Beyond, they could have done in a different type of way in one of these spin-offs with Maggie and Negan and Carol and Daryl. With Fear, I think they should just end Fear, honestly. They should just end Fear. They didn't need World Beyond. But I could understand the reason behind the two new spin-offs if it's going to go down as I predicted. Alright, last two questions. I'll only answer these two and that'll be the end of the stream. Leo de la Rosa, is there going to be a political war in the Commonwealth between Pamela, Mercer, and Lance for run the president? Mercer, no, but Pamela and Lance, yeah. Mercer, the only reason I say no is because Mercer's not the type of person to want to lead like that. Like, he wants to be in the background. He doesn't want to be at the forefront of everything. Play defense. If the CR created a new fake alliance with 3 new communities, such as Commonwealth, who would be the other community that's capable of being a part of that alliance? Great question. I would say at this point we don't know of any community. The only one that I could think of is not even a community, but it's the alliance between Hilltop, Alexandria, and Oceanside. That's the other one. Like, in a different universe, if our survivors had no clue about CRM, and if the CRM came in and offered this deal to them, that would be how it worked. Oceanside, Hilltop, Alexandria as one community, and by that I mean one person as the face of that those 3 communities, and then Commonwealth as one separate, and then CRM as the other one, or CR. Even though I still think that alliance was more CRM than CR, but yeah, you get what I mean. Play defense. Maybe Negan went to New York City because he remembers the CRM helicopter, so he's curious about their group. Could be. Could be. Like I said, that could be one of the clues or one of the key reasoning behind why the group even... Leo de la Rosa, who really deserves an episode in Tales of the Walking Dead? This is going to be the last question. Who deserves a episode? The governor, for sure. Probably, I want to say, deserves is such a strong word to use though. But who could get it? That would be interesting. I think Beta, Alpha, even though Alpha, I think she's gotten enough, but what it is. She's probably going to get one. Joe, Simon, who else? Madison, maybe tell us what happened to her when she was gone. Shane, Edwin Jenner, Dr. Jenner, maybe. So these are just a few ideas I have. But that's it. That's it for the Q&A. That is it for the stream. Thank you everyone for joining and asking questions. I appreciate it. If you are not a subscriber and enjoy the stuff that we talk about and the stuff that I post on the channel, definitely subscribe. If you haven't, press the bell. Press the bell to be notified when I upload on the channel. Wait, there we go. How do I do this? It's down there somewhere. I can't do this. It's down somewhere. Make sure that the bell is on all notifications so you get a notification for everything. And don't forget to like. What I have found out recently is that YouTube, one of the key things that they use to see what video is likes. Views also have a lot to do with it, but likes as well. The more likes on a video, the more it's going to be shown to other people. So if you want to support the channel, like every video that you watch, That is, of course, if you truly enjoy them, to help the channel and to make sure that, you know, we can grow our community here. But that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll catch you on the next one. I don't know when the next stream is going to be. I was going to do another one next week, but because we had such a great this stream is probably good enough. We'll do more later on when we have more news, more announcements, things like that, or if something major happens. But for now, there's no planned streams, and we're gonna carry on with the regular schedule. Walking Dead stuff and the reactions that I do. Oh, I do want to tell you guys one thing. When it comes to when it comes to what we're gonna do Walking Dead related after season 11, I'm gonna do only one other Walking Dead property, just like what we do with Walking Dead. That could be either Fear, the Maggie Negan spinoff, the Daryl Carol spinoff, or Tales of the Walking Dead. You choose. I have a poll up on the community section. Go participate. You choose. Which one do you want? The one that we don't do, I'll just do reactions on the episodes. Only reactions. No breakdowns for the teasers, trailers, no theories, nothing like that. We're going to continue the theories and stuff like that for only one property. And you decide which one that's going to be. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope